Hello, everyone, and welcome to Chasing a Murder. We are on part 160 of Life Beyond the Grave, the Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell story. I want to say before we get started, if you don't mind, if you enjoy the videos that I put out, make sure that you push like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. That would help us out tremendously. We left off with TYLEE Ryan. How TYLEE Ryan was murdered and disposed of on Chad Daybell's property. Just recently, Colby Ryan, Lori Vallow's oldest son, he shared a phone call that he had with his mother where she shared her idea of what happened to TYLEE and what happened to JJ. Some of you have probably heard this, but maybe some of you have not. Anyhow, it's something that just come out that I couldn't figure out if I wanted to place it here or later. I decided I would go ahead and place it in part 160. Now you gotta remember that during this time that TYLEE Ryan is no longer here, JJ is thriving. And what you're about to hear right now gives you a very good glimpse into who Lori Vallow really is. She's not that wonderful mother her family has tried to preach and push, and it's just sickening, to be honest. If you would like to check out the entire phone call that Colby had with his mother, you can head over to his YouTube page, Colby J. Ryan. So one question that we've always had is, how does Lori expect to get away with what she did to TYLEE? Did she really think that none of her friends or her families would start asking, where is TYLEE? And even during this phone call, the way that she's talking to her son tells you that she's used to manipulating these children and making them believe whatever she wanted them to. A very disgusting person. So here's Lori's version of what happened.
You just can't imagine. You can't imagine that scenario. Until you live it, you can't imagine that scenario. And when I came in, and I knew TYLEE had been upset, and I knew that she was upset with me that weekend because she wouldn't stay at the house because I would only stay there. She hates Melanie Gibb, as you know. Everyone knows this. She hated her. And she couldn't stand her smell because she had the essential oils, and TYLEE got sick of the essential oils in 6th grade because her teacher made her drink the essential oils in 6th grade to help with pancreatitis, if you remember all that. So she didn't want to stay there. So I asked her to babysit JJ, put him to bed that night, which is what she always has done, right? She was going to bed. I was going to do my podcast with stupid Melanie and Dave, right? So JJ wouldn't interrupt it. And then I was picking him up in the morning to get him ready and take him to school. And when I came in on that scene, and they were gone, I thought TYLEE did it to get back at me. I thought it was all my fault. I thought she was mad at me, and that's what had happened. And the reason why she visited me and why JJ visited me and came to me right after that is because to tell me that it wasn't my fault, because I was blaming myself 100%. 100%. Why didn't I get TYLEE more help? Why did I let her get off of her meds? Why did I not do something different? Why did I let Melanie get to stay here? Why did I do any of these things that would lead to this? How could it possibly have happened? Why and how? Why and how? I mean, you can't even imagine what that is like. No one on the earth can imagine what that's like.
You're telling me that TYLEE took JJ's life And then took her own life.
On accident.
And took her own life then? After? So who chopped and burned her? And who duct taped JJ and put him in the ground? What I'm asking you. You're saying what? So you told me.
Sorry, you're just cutting out. I can't hear what your question is.
So you're telling me TYLEE took JJ's life, then took her own life, and then someone cremated her by dismembering her and burning her and throwing her in a pet cemetery, and then somebody bound JJ, put him in a trash bag, and threw him in the backyard. And that was it. That was the end of it.
What I'm saying is I wasn't aware what happened to them after I left that scene.
Okay, so you gave it to someone else. You gave the responsibility to someone else, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Okay. And then
I didn't. I just ran out.
okay. So you're saying someone else took care of the situation.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I said you.
It's freaking out.
I'm saying that you're saying to me that someone else took care of it. That's it. I don't have to go into more detail there. Somebody else took care of these things. So you.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
I'm telling you that their spirits were gone from their bodies at that time. They were gone. They were already in heaven. They were already gone.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. So you're saying that they were gone, and why, if that's the case, then why wouldn't you just tell us? What was the secrecy for? Why didn't anybody know?
There's a lot of reasons. Colby and I've gone over that a million times, and I can tell you from the beginning, my thoughts then and my thoughts now obviously are different. I've had lots of therapy about it, to kind of work through it myself. But at the time, I didn't want anyone to know what TYLEE had done to JJ, and I wanted to continue to protect TYLEE as her mother, who has been trying to protect her whole life. Like, this is my scenario, Colby. What if TYLEE holding JJ down for too long, trying to get him to not scream and be loud in the apartment, which she was always upset about. We weren't in a big house anymore. We were in these tiny little apartments, and he was loud. And what if she held him down too long and realized afterwards what she had done? What if she had come running to me and told me what she had done, right? That it was an accident? Do you not think that I would have told police that I did it to save TYLEE? Because you know that I would have. I would have done anything to protect TYLEE. And in my mind at that time, and some people might think it's not rational, but I wasn't rational at that time, because you can't imagine what it's like to find your children in that way. You can't imagine. So no, I was not being rational. However, I was still protecting TYLEE in my mind, and I still am.
Okay, I'm not gonna make you guys listen. I'm not gonna listen to that anymore because it's all complete lies. So it's very familiar to what she says about Joe Ryan. Remember how she was protecting TYLEE and Colby from Joe Ryan, Charles Vallow. Lori Vallow is the most evil woman on this earth. And every time I hear this, I get just so frustrated and angry that she got away with this for so long. She blamed her own beautiful daughter for taking the life of JJ when JJ was not gone. TYLEE was the first one to go. And I think it's safe to say that most likely, and this is speculation, TYLEE Ryan was shot. She has given us a hint, even though it's opposite day. And then so has Chad with the raccoon text to his wife that he had shot a big raccoon. And this must be very tough for Colby because now he's going back and thinking about all these things his mother has said over the years and realizing that maybe mom was not such a great mom. I feel bad for him. She's stolen TYLEE Ryan's life, her future, away from her. The reasons are still unknown exactly. One of the reasons I guess we can guess is that TYLEE was interfering with her life. She wanted the money that TYLEE had. I think sometimes perhaps TYLEE had thought about leaving. She was also a possible witness to Charles' death. She didn't like Chad Daybell. She didn't like anyone that her mother was associating with after Charles passed. So there's quite a bit of reasons there, and you have to assume that one of those are the correct reason, or multiple reasons are the correct reason for why she truly decided to end TYLEE's life. For people who were doing the castings with her, she was more worried about the zombie in TYLEE's body. Something Lori Vallow would claim that she never used that term ever, but witnesses say otherwise. Moving on in the timeline, TYLEE had some medical issues. She was on anti-anxiety medicine. Most likely she wasn't taking those regularly. But now, Lori is free from all that. She doesn't have to deal with TYLEE. Now she's just dealing with JJ. A lot of people have been wondering, who is truly the leader of this 144,000? Who are the leaders, or which person is making the calls to take lives? One thing I know about Lori after researching her is wherever she goes, she likes to run the show. She likes to take over and make everything about how Lori wants it. So is Lori the boss when it comes to the plans? I may play this interview a few more times, so let's start with her family first. According to her family members who say that they know Lori better than anyone, they say that there's no way that Lori would follow Chad or follow a cult.
If he's in a cult?
No, we don't.
I've spoken to people who live near Chad, and they say we follow Chad. They look at Chad like he's some sort of messiah.
Some people can do that if that's what they choose to do. They're entitled to their religious freedom and belief. That's the great thing about our country. We have religious freedom, and you can believe whatever you choose to believe. I don't know Chad very well. I've only met him one time. I've never heard anything about him self-proclaiming to be a prophet or anything else of that nature, or trying to get people to follow him. But if somebody chooses to do that on their own, that's their choice. I certainly would never do that. I certainly would never do that. I follow the teachings of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They might be misguided in their thoughts or thinking, but I don't think it makes them bad people.
You don't think that Chad brainwashed her?
No, he couldn't do it. It's not possible. It wouldn't be possible. We can't speak intelligently about...
Multiple people within their circle would claim that Lori would be organizing the castings and most of everything they were involved in. Now, during this time, Lori hasn't been in Rexburg long, but she's trying to get everyone in her circle, including Zulema, to move there and follow her and Alex. She had plans of even getting Melanie to come up there and take a look. Melanie Boudreaux, as you know, just come into a lump sum because of the divorce between her and Brandon Boudreaux. Zulema would testify that Lori did try to dissuade her into coming to Rexburg, but she really wasn't going for that. And she tried to talk herself out of it by saying, where am I supposed to get a job there? How am I supposed to make money? But Lori seems to think that everyone else that has money is automatically hers. So she thinks that Melanie Boudreaux, that money that she has, will belong to her.
So Melanie Boudreaux was her niece.
Yes.
And Melanie Boudreaux was in the process of divorcing her husband, Brandon.
Correct.
And she received a fairly substantial divorce settlement.
Correct.
Several $100,000.
Yes.
Okay. And so what did Lori tell you about Melanie supporting people? What exactly? I want to make sure we get the words right. What did she say?
She said, don't worry about it because Melly has enough for all of us.
Okay. What did you say to that?
I said, that's her money, not my money.
Okay. And did Lori have a response?
No.
Okay.
Not really.
All right. Did you ever talk to Melanie Boudreaux about the idea that her money was going to support all of you?
I told her about what Lori said after Alex had died, and she said that she was very sad that other people would be saying that about her and her money.
There's a lot of missing pieces to the puzzle still to the story, and a lot of it surrounds Zulema, Melanie Gibb, and Melanie Boudreaux. So did Melanie Boudreaux know about this? Well, there's hints that Melanie knew that there was going to be a lump sum of money that she was supposedly going to give to this group, the $144,000. And we believe that might have been Brandon Boudreaux's life insurance money. This is speculation, by the way, guys. We don't know exactly what Melanie Boudreaux understood during this time, other than she did do what her aunt was telling her to do. So it seems that Lori's after everyone's money. Kay and Larry are continuing to search for them. They know there's a possibility that they're now in another state. And they both, Kay and Larry, said they expressed their fears for the safety of the children to investigators. And they even cite the concerns that Charles wrote in his divorce documents. Those concerns are that Lori is growing to embrace an extreme religious belief. And the Woodcocks, at this point, they're just not sleeping well. They're focused on finding JJ and making sure that he's okay. They even start investigating on their own about the beliefs that Lori and Chad are teaching and how those beliefs are tied to their religion. So the Woodcock's mind, they're filled with horrors. The biggest question is, could Lori be capable of hurting her own children? So here's some very enlightening and informative information to help you understand how long Chad Daybell had planned to build light cities. David Warwick had actually met Chad Daybell out at his property along with Julie Rowe.
Went out of respect.
And where did you go?
We went to Chad's home
Where was his home located?
in Rexburg.
What did you do at his home?
We walked around this property, and this is the first time I had met Julie Rowe also. And basically, she was helped telling him how the property was to be laid out and organized for tents to be set up and a building to be built for preparations.
Why did Julie Rowe explain this information? What was her basis of understanding?
My understanding is she had a vision, or she was having visions. I wasn't informed on the details of what was going on. It was more of a meet and get acquainted.
Who did you recall meeting anybody else at that meeting besides Ms. Rowe? Let me withdraw that and be clear. While at Chad's property, do you recall meeting anybody else besides being there with Chad and Ms. Rowe?
Yeah, there were several other men there, but I don't recall their names.
So here's another thing we can point out for David Warwick and Melanie Gibb. When they say they don't remember names, that's a lie, especially for Melanie Gibb, because some of those people were close to her. And they are lying under oath, and geez, you would think they would learn their lesson. But yeah, so we're going back to around 2017, 2018, when Chad Daybell had this vision that his property and the surrounding properties would be part of this city of light. September 10th, Julie Rowe uploads a Multiple Probations Part 1, number 84, on the Julie Rowe YouTube channel. I think it's safe to say that Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow get many of their ideas from Julie Rowe and others before Julie. Julie Rowe talks about things that she's reading on the Freedom Forum, which is attached to Chad Daybell. And she's given warnings to people that there's an adversary out there giving people identities from past lives, and they're not true.
What do you think, Julie?
I absolutely agree. When I had my near-death experiences and was reminded of these doctrines, and mind you guys, I've had 6, and a lot of out-of-bodies and a lot of communication from the other side, by the light side, and quite frankly by the dark side, who tries to abscond the truth and twist and turn what is being revealed. And that's exactly what I was told. Absolutely, Joseph Smith knew this, and he taught it to a few. And it is so sacred, and the saints just really weren't ready for it. And I have seen, with some of the people that have revealed some of this stuff online, as it's gotten back to me on LDS Freedom Forum and some other websites that I'm not going to name. You guys know some of what they are. They are getting bits of truth, and they're also getting mixed messages from the adversary and distorting the truth. And I can't tell you how many people, clients and other people, have come to me and said the Spirit told them, they were X, Y, and Z, that they did X, Y, and Z premortally, or that they were so-and-so on the earth way back in the time of Christ, or whatever. We're going to talk more about that in upcoming podcasts, about some of those things that I've been told as a war strategy we need to put out there to let you know that if you're being told some of these things, you're being talked to the dark side. Mm-hmm. Somebody masquerading as a light person. So it is very sacred doctrine, and in part that's because it's the crux of the plan of salvation and eternal progression. And so knowing your divine potential, knowing your divine identity, not just that you're a male or female, but that you come from a heavenly home, and that you are on track to return to your heavenly home, and that there is a process in which you are to undergo in order to have eternal progression and go wherever you want to go in your.
This was the one time that Julie Rowe was absolutely right, that you had people of dark that were masquerading as light, and they're given identities to people of who they were in their past lives. So it seems that she may be actually calling out Chad Daybell, but she doesn't say that. So Chad is not only dabbling in multiple lives, he's also using pendulums, magic in order to find answers. This is according to Melanie Gibb in a testimony in trial.
Generally speaking, would she tell you she turned to Chad for these answers?
Yeah.
Did you know of anything else Chad used to get answers?
Yes, one time I saw him with a pendulum.
Do you recall what the pendulum looked like?
It was gold, I think, or brass, and it had like a pointiness to the bottom of it and like a string.
Do you recall when you saw that?
That was in February of 2019.
Do you recall where you were?
Yeah, I was here in Boise, Idaho.
Where would Chad learn some of this? Would he learn this from his religion? Well, the truth is, in the fundamental LDS, those teachings by Joseph Smith, it is said that he used things like seer stones in order to find answers. Garyh Daybell would actually testify that Chad did have interest in the fundamental LDS, and this is at his own father's trial.
Horses. Okay. Okay. And did your mother and father share similar views of fundamental LDS faith?
They did.
Okay. And your mother shared your father's beliefs to your knowledge of this light and dark?
Yes.
What about the idea of putting numeric numbers on people who are identified as either light or dark?
They did that every now and again.
Okay. And they did that in your presence?
Yes.
Okay. Now, your understanding, and I'm going to hack this this person, but I think I previously yesterday talked to you about the book Saints and about a
Newell Knight.
Newell Knight. And we talked about that yesterday, right?
Yes.
And in that situation, there was a casting of a sort, correct?
Yes.
And who was doing the casting?
That was Joseph Smith.
And who was he casting?
He was casting a devil, as they described it, out of Newell Knight.
Okay, and at the end of the casting, and was this more of a traditional story of the LDS faith?
It's one that it's usually included in storybooks about the church history and stuff.
Okay, but would you agree that it's more of a fundamental? It's not necessarily as mainstream as it once was?
Yes.
Okay, so it would be more akin to your father's beliefs.
I don't know if it's one that would be told as often anymore.
Okay, and in that particular situation, this is the prophet of your church, Joseph Smith?
Yes.
And at that point, he expelled the devil or the demon from Newell Knight?
Yes.
Did Newell Knight die after they expelled the demon from him?
No, he went on to do great things.
Okay, and at some point, is it your understanding that when someone expels a dark spirit or a negative spirit that they die after that?
No, they continue living.
That's a good point, because Emma Daybell says that her father had done a casting on her and she continued to live. That all changed when Lori Vallow come into Chad Daybell's life. You can't make this stuff up. These are the facts. But they continue to push it all on Chad Daybell as he was the one pushing all these deaths. So what do you guys think about that? I'm going to close right now. I want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and say hello in the comments. Love you guys, and I'll see you guys soon.